Hi, I'm Callie and welcome to Kapowski Reads, and this is my low spend diary. I recently went to the library. I got myself a library haul. It's chunky and it just felt so nice having like a book haul kind of thing, because I've basically gone somewhat cold turkey from buying books, with the exception of books that I have pre-ordered prior to the start of 2024. And if I can't find a secondhand copy of any book club picks, I'm not buying any books this year. And as somebody who buys a lot of books, I read a lot of books too, it feels really strange. Like, I've been in town a few times since starting my low spend year, and I've walked past the bookshop and I find myself walking a little bit quicker than I normally would, to just sort of steer myself away from just automatically going in. And I know I could go in to just have a little browse, but I feel that that would maybe feel cruel, like taking a child into a toy shop knowing you're not buying them any toys. I don't want to do that. It would feel like a punishment. So instead I'm just not going in. But I'm very lucky in that my library has got a fantastic selection of books, and we've got quite a lot of branches in Aberdeen. Even though we lost 6 libraries last year, we still have, I think we've maybe got 10 libraries left. I would need to double check. But we have got an amazing selection of books that can be shipped between the branches. So I've got access to a lot of books that I want to read. And I placed a whole bunch of reservations and they all came in at once. So I ended up getting 4 books, which I have mentioned in previous vlogs, and I will be vlogging all 4 of these books. I think that might be coming out not this week but next week. And it got me to thinking about how much I had spent on books in 2023. I joined Bookstagram before I joined Booktube, and Bookstagram I joined, I think it was 2020 during the pandemic. I have been an avid reader since I was wee, and I've been this height since I was 12. So I've been reading a long time, but as a child I never really bought a lot of books, but I did spend a lot of time in. We had a really cool bookshop that had this like a boat, a wooden boat, and it was also like a seesaw, which was very fun. And that bookshop is now a chocolate shop, which is also excellent, but it's very expensive chocolates, so not very budget friendly. But I know I never used to buy a lot of books, but buying books is something that I feel is like a relatively new habit for me in the last, 4 years or so. And I suppose because I'm on Bookstagram, I'm on Booktube, I'm seeing a lot of people talk about books, so I'm sort of getting more recommendations, which is always amazing. And I feel like I've almost felt the need, like compelled to buy more books. And often when I buy books, they just sit they sit on my shelf waiting for a time to shine. And sometimes that time can take months, years in some cases. And in some other cases I go off of the book before I even read it. And that's just kind of like wasted money, wasted shelf space. And that book could be with somebody else who would, love it. And instead it's just sitting, gathering dust on my shelf. It's only been like 6 weeks since the year started and I've not bought books. I have received 1 pre-order, and it just feels so unusual to not be buying books. And to, when I see a book that I like, I'm trying to get myself in the habit of automatically going to check if my library has that book. I know I'm very lucky in that I have access to a library. Unfortunately, our library doesn't take suggestions. So it's a case of if they have it, I can ask for it. If they don't have it, they don't have it. But I keep a note and I will go back and check later in cases where books are quite new. So by not buying books, it's really made me realise just how much I've been excessively purchasing them. And I think that there's always that joke of buying books and reading books are 2 separate hobbies, and it feels really true, because the joy of buying books feels so different to the joy of finding a new favourite. And I'm really grateful for this year for sort of forcing me, even though nobody's making me do this. I am, just me. I'm really grateful to this low spend opportunity because it's letting me kind of get myself out of the habit of just, I see it, I want it, I buy it when I could see it, want it, put it on a list and then come back to it if I can't get it from the library and if I still want it when I'm in a position to use it, to read it. Now, I'm not saying that I'm never going to buy a book again because I don't think that's sustainable for me. And I like books. I don't want to be in a position where I'm like, no, I'm never allowed to buy that thing again. But I want to get in a position where my TBR is manageable. I feel if I could have my unread physical books fit just one shelf, that would be great for me. Currently, I'm looking at a whole pile of books on the desk behind my camera. I've got stacks of books downstairs. I have an ottoman filled with books, and I've got a shelf of books downstairs. That's far too many. I really want to make my way through them, so that's what I'm planning to do. And I took a little tally. I went through my bank statements and my online shopping orders to find out how much money I spent on books in 2023. And it was a lot. There were a lot of purchases. I very much am less a big haul person and more of a buy two, buy one, go buy another one kind of person, little and often. So I have my book. I spent a total of £1,129.65 on books last year. That's a sickening amount of money. That's ridiculous. Did I read all of those books? Because I think if I had spent that much money on books and I'd read the majority of the books that I had bought that year, I wouldn't feel so bad. I wouldn't be like, oh, racked with just guilt of what I spent my money on. But I haven't read. No, I don't know how many I've read that I bought last year, but I would say it's less than half of the books that I bought. And these are only the books that I have an electronic record of. So I'm not including books that I bought and paid for in cash. Because sometimes I have cash and I'm like, what do I do with this? Because I so rarely have cash. Just totally got out of the habit of having folding money when we were encouraged to use everything contactless. So I know I've bought books using cash, and I know I've bought books in charity shops where I don't have a record of that. I can't confirm for 100% that it was a book that I bought there because my receipt's not itemized, and I don't have the details for any books that I've swapped with friends, although I don't really count them. Like, they are unread, but my friends and I, we meet a couple of times a year and we bring books to swap. And because we're all quite big readers, we go in and there's always that declaration of, I'm not taking any of these that I've brought in, I'm not taking them home with me. So it's a case of either you take them or we donate them to the cafe that we're at. They're not coming home. So I don't feel any guilt about getting a book at a book swap. I've had some fantastic reads from my friends from book swaps. And they're all they're second hand anyway. Sometimes they're third, fourth hand. But it's the book purchasing that's a bigger thing that I'm worried about, because that's all on me. I'm going out and I'm spending my very hard-earned money on baubles to sit on my bookshelf, because that's what they feel like, baubles and trinkets, because I'm not using them and I should be using them. But I know that I like to sort of almost feel like I'm treating myself with new books. So I've been sort of thinking of ways I can still get books that don't involve me buying books. I've mentioned previously that I have like an ottoman where I have a whole bunch of books in there, and I purposely put them in there because they are out of sight, so they're out of mind. I'm not 100% sure what is even in there, and I want to keep it that way because when I get the urge to buy a new book, get a new book that I don't see on my shelf, I can go in that ottoman and be like, this one, this is new to me because I forgot I bought it, 6 months ago. That's my thought process. Additionally, I've been getting a lot better at reading my NetGalley books because some of these I've had approved for months and I'm, unfortunately quite behind with my NetGalley reads. But I think that for me, that's a really good way of getting to read new upcoming releases without going out and buying them. And also sometimes I'm taking a bit of a risk reading a book by somebody I don't know, end up just loving a book, or sometimes end up not liking it at all, and it's not, I haven't spent any money on it, so I don't feel bad about wasting money on like a 1-star read. But yeah, that's my plan. My plan is to continue to not buy any books because, I mean, 1100 monies, that's so much money. I am going to continue to utilise my library services. I'm going to continue to use my NetGalley access, and I'm going to continue to read the books that I already own and have forgotten that I own because I've already bought them and I need to read them. If you are also trying to reduce your book shopping, I'd love to know any handy hints and tips that you've got, anything that's worked, because it can be hard. I sometimes feel a bit like a dragon just hoarding books, but I need to be more of a dragon that reads the hoard of books. I don't know. Thank you so much for watching. Bye!